Good morning, this is TerryTopCat for TerryTopCat Purrsents for clusterview.com. We are in Hotel Football, Manchester, with our good friend Webby again. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm not bad, mate, not bad.
Really great to see you.
I knew it always is, Paul. You'd always welcome up here.
Thank you.
Since we spoke, it's been a hard season, as you know, but we're in the final.
Absolutely.
Listen, got to be in it to win it. There's a chance for the European pot, and how much would that aggravate people if we finish 15th, 16th, 17th, win that pot over in Spain and get in the Champions League. So it's been a bad season, but let's finish it on an eye, mate.
So we're playing, Man United are playing West Ham today.
Yeah.
Hopefully a run out for some young players who don't usually get in the team. So let's go through some of them. So Aidan Heaven, I think he's a brilliant player.
Yeah, you know, we got him from Arsenal. You know, I know a good friend of mine at Arsenal was a bit upset that he's left the club, but he looked like he's played there 4 to 5 years, and I was devastated when he got injured at Leicester, thinking is it a season-ending injury? He's back training now. I'd love him to be involved today, if not today, before the end of the season, because when he's fit, he looks so cool and calm and collective in that back three. Great player with a great future, and hopefully it's at Man United.
So that's one of them. So let's talk about Lenny Yoro. Do you think he is going to be number one with another central defender, maybe Heaven in the future, or Martinez? Martinez is injured at the moment, but you know, lots of options for defensively, which we haven't had for quite a while.
You look at Lenny Yoro, when the money we paid for him and the people were sniffing about him, it was like Real Madrid and other clubs. And to be honest, he's looked great, he's looked cool, and he's only a young kid, and he's going to get better. You know, it was a great buy. Just got to say, obviously he got that injury, didn't he, on pre-season, which knocked him back. But no, I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing of him, and long may it continue. I just think that he looked great the other night again, you know, coming forward with the ball. Each game I see him play, he looks more and more confident. So, you know, I'm happy with the signing of him, and hopefully he stays injury-free now, and he will start in the final if everyone's fit and he stays fit. No, I'm very impressed with the signing of Yoro.
So let's talk about the final. That's going to be on Wednesday the 21st in Bilbao. So let's go through what your prediction of the team will be.
If everybody's fit, if everybody's fit, I'd probably go. He'll go Anana, he'll go Maguire, he'll go Yoro. Now the left-sided one's a bit up and down. Does he go Lindelof? It would probably be one of his last games. Does he go for Luke Shaw if he's fit? You know, does Dallo come back in if he's fit?
Yeah.
So like basically, I think he'll go Anana, Maguire, Yoro, Dillit. Hopefully he'll be fit. He'll go Dorgu left wing back, Maserati right wing back, midfield. He'll go Casemiro. He'll go Ugarte. I think he'll go Dallo right, he'll go Bruno left, he'll go Haaland, and then the one for me, does Mount sitting just behind him. You know, people are playing not just for the future, but for the final. You know, you look at the other night, and I said all along, once Mason Mount gets a good run of games, it's like a new signing, Terry. It's like a new signing. You look at the goal at Brentford, you look at the 2 goals the other night. Do you play him today? No, you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't.
But he doesn't need that game time. For me, the biggest one is Diallo. We hadn't half missed him. You know,
we did, didn't we? A
friend of mine at Sunderland, season ticket holder.
I remember you said last time,
was raving about him. Was absolutely raving about him. Saying, I wish we could sign him. But obviously, I didn't watch Sunderland. I caught him a few times, and he looks half right. What are you thinking? But that's the Championship, Teddy. You know, I'd look good in the Championship in some teams. But fair play to him, we half missed him. You look at his performance at City away this year, look at his performance at Anfield. You know, basically we got the 4 points out of that. And the major contributor was Ahmad's performance and goals.
Sure.
So, do we play him today?
No.
It's an hard one.
Yeah.
But there again, we've got to beat West Ham today. There's no point. You know, after Thursday night, because let's have it right, the first 60 minutes on Thursday wasn't great.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't great at all, Teddy. You know, if you don't go into that match and you see 4-1, 7-1 in aggregate, you think, walk in the park.
We lost the game,
But we never.
Yeah.
And they had three of the main people out, by the way. The Williams brothers, I'm going to say the Williams sisters then, and the other kid. But hey, listen, you've got to be what's put in front of you.
Absolutely.
We're in the final. So now you've got West Ham today, you've got Chelsea next Friday. So you've got 2 games there for people
to play to get to the final. Yeah.
But I really think deep down, the manager knows his best team. I really do. But it all depends on a couple of injuries. Because I think if Dallow's fit, Dallow plays. That's my opinion.
So let's talk about some other players. So Fredrickson, so he looks quite good as well.
Listen, Terry, the great kids, you know what I mean? But like I said to you off air before, reserve football's no good for them. They've got to go out in the man's world. And if that means that a year on loan at Walsall or at Salford City...
Like Beckham has done, all these other future legends in the past.
Beckham went to Preston, come back a better player. Now, for these young uns, reserve games, they're cheating really because they're that good. They've got to go out and play against men, play against bullies who's going to give you the elbow, you know, to make you into that man. But Fredrickson looks a great prospect, like all the others.
Amas as well.
Amas, yeah. You know, you look at Amas there in pre-season and when he went to America, then there was talk he was going to be on the start of the Charity Shield against City and he wasn't even on the bench. Then he disappeared. You know, but he come back and he looks so comfortable. He looks like a little chunky Luke Shaw. You know what I mean? He looks composed.
Talking to Luke Shaw, I think he's a brilliant player, and let's hope that he does stay fit because he's helped us win many games in the past, and Luke I really Shaw, like him as a player.
I was over there, Teddy, when he had that horrific broken leg in PSV, and what he's done and how he's come back has been nothing but astonishing. You know what I mean? Because it was a bad break, but. He doesn't help himself with the United fans because he played at Luton last year, which was late January, never seen again, then tried his hardest to get fit for England and played, come on a sub in the semi-Euros and started the final, then comes back injured. And to be honest, United fans are getting peeved off with him because of what. But listen, on his day,
on his
and he's
day,
fit, I don't see a better left back in,
I
in
don't
the Premiership.
Either,
But he doesn't have too many on his days, unfortunately. But listen, touch wood that he stays fit because a fit Luke Shaw is a great Luke Shaw.
Absolutely. So we haven't had a great season so far. Obviously, there's going to be many changes. So obviously, Christian Eriksen's been a brilliant player. Lindelof. Who else is? We don't know about Maguire. I don't know if he's going to stay.
Maguire's got that extra year. So listen, can't knock Adder.
No.
He come here, he got the captain's there, got absolutely
and he got a lot of stick as well. Yeah, he did.
He got slaughtered playing for England. But fair play to him. He's buckled down. He could have crumbled and just sat there happy and took the money and run. Showed his character, you know, and fair play to him. And now, I think if Andy Maguire's not in our team, I expect in the back three, I just think we look upon the team. But I think Amorim's got it right. I think to get the best out of Maguire, you've got to play the three at the back. You know, if it's a two, he can get turned on the inside because pace is one of his game, but reading the game is and you can't knock him. Listen, fair play. Like I just said before, he could have crumbled, but he never. He had the balls and he stuck with it. So fair play.
So talking to ones who are out on loan, we'll do one by one. So Marcus Rashford, I'm a lifelong United fan, not as long as you, but I think he's been a brilliant player for Man United. And you know, like you say, maybe he needed a change of club and stuff. So. What do you think? Do you think he'll come back, or do you want him to come back, or what do you think as a player?
I look at Marcus. I always remember I went to watch the youth team play over at the Cliff, and I knew a gentleman called Johnny Cook who was to do with United for years. He played for United, never played first team game, a couple of reserve games, but he stayed on at the staff. And we just signed Anthony Martial. I remember him saying to me, "We've got a kid here, Marcus Rashford. He's going to make it." And 3 or 4 weeks later, he was on the bench for the Europa League game and Martial got injured in the warm-up. The rest is history. He scored that night. We played Arsenal on the Saturday or the Sunday. Listen, Marcus Rashford... On his day, is as good as anybody. You know, the year he scored all those goals and got his new contract, you know, he wasn't playing great, but he scored in the goals. But I think with Marcus now, I think if he goes abroad... on loan. Listen, sometimes you need that change. He has a future.
You don't think it's a management problem, him and a manager personality?
Well, obviously, there's clips you've seen on social media where United have been on the full team press and he's been walking around, you know, and then he signs for Villa. I was gutted, by the way, and he's running around like a chicken with no head. So, you know what I mean? So, listen, he had a song named after, sung week in, week out. And for me, once you do that, then you're made for life here. And he was the one who was going to beat Rooney's record if he stayed here.
Yeah, that's true.
But I just don't think it'll happen. I think he'll come back pre-season. And also, again, what we spoke about before about selling players who have come through the ranks, it's all profit. But people keep saying to me, Barcelona, he couldn't carry the oranges for that Barcelona team. They're that good.
No,
we've seen the two games against them in Milan. Probably the two of the greatest football games I've ever seen, by the way. But listen, an happy Marcus Rashford is a great Marcus Rashford. I want to see Marcus Rashford. We're not all the buddies on the world. I want to see him smile. I want to see him laugh. Whether we can get out is another thing. But football, as the late Greaves said, it's a funny old game. Things happen. De Villa sign him. I can't see it. Does he come back here and says, listen, I'm going to give it another go? Because on his day,
he's brilliant.
He's a brilliant player. I just hope for the best for him that wherever he goes, he's happy.
Jadon Sancho.
I was saying before, Terry, me and Tony from our channel was on here through COVID, week in, week out, with will he sign and will he not for Dortmund. He's done. And it's just not, it was probably one of the first names on the England team sheet.
He was, yeah.
A great player. And then the manager, Tenag, gave him time off because he had issues, which is fair play.
Mental health issues,
and one thing what didn't help was the spark. If you look what years ago, Fergie, when he come out at the Emirates and said he's not, when they asked him why he wasn't in the squad, he said he's not been trained now. Fergie would have said, he's injured. And it become press, which carried on for weeks and weeks. If that had been Fergie, Sancho wasn't in the squad because he was injured. Story goals.
Yeah, that's it.
But he stayed, and he's gone to Chelsea. But then I heard him rumours that he never moved into Manchester. He was getting a train down and a car down for training all the time. With
like Wan-Bissaka, yeah.
Which for me is poor, I look at the Mourinho thing when he first come, and a mate of mine lives in Wales. You don't believe I've just seen Jose looking at a castle near where he lives. But he ended up staying in the Lauder. So that says it all. Bit of commitment. He comes down here with his missus or whoever, buys an house with where all the other players live. But for me, where does Sancho go? Because I don't think Chelsea's going to have him. And there's another one who's on massive wages.
Yeah.
Does he go back to Dortmund? Would they check him? Is another year older? I just think it's, like I say, Rashford, listen, footballers have a short span in life.
Get as much
as you can. But play with a smile on your face, be happy whether it's at Old Trafford or another club. But I don't see a future here for Sancho, not a chance.
And finally, Anthony. Now, he had so much stick from the fans, and he clearly wasn't happy and had all those rape allegations. And now he's at Real Betis.
Tearing up.
I know.
I think with Anthony, what didn't help him was that stupid pirouette on the ball here, that European game. Made him look a right clown. But listen, you look at your start here, Arsenal at home scores, Everton away scores. I think he scored 4 goals in his first 4 games. Then it just went downhill. But I see what he's doing for Betis. He's playing with freedom.
Yeah.
We paid, what did we pay? 85 million for him, which is crazy. But things happen in football. But we've been playing well there. That's good for us. I hope he comes back and tears it up here.
That would be great.
It'll be good because you look at the players we've got on loan and thinking, some games when we look at our bench and it's full of kids, but these kids want to play for us.
Yeah.
These kids are hungry. Some of them are not bothered.
So one question mark Anthony wanted to ask. So undeniably, the class of 92, we can roll off the names. Do you see any young players that you think could achieve legend status like that? We've mentioned a few.
It's hard though now for the player to stay at the club or for his career.
To be loyal like Paul Scholes or Ryan Giggs. Yeah.
Ryan, Gary Neville, Nicky Butt until he went to Newcastle. Phil Neville. I was devastated the day we sold Phil Neville to Newcastle. Devastated because apparently the word on the street was that it was either him or Kieran Richardson. And apparently the boss said, well, Kieran's going to get games. Phil Neville signed for Everton. What a player Phil Neville was.
Yeah, he was.
So
not a great manager, bless him, but
no. But he's in another job now. He never seems to be out of football.
That's true.
He still does the same things he did. Phil's a great lad. I've had some laughs with Phil over the years. But it's hard now for that player to stay loyal. Because if you would have said to me 18 months ago, Terry, Marcus Rashford would go on loan to Aston Villa, I would have said, Saxy for Terry, come and take this man to hospital. Because it never could happen, but now...
Or Mason Greenwood wouldn't be at the club. I mean, what a... Yeah.
Mate, well, you look at Mason there, and I said to you before on the previous video, the most natural finisher I've ever seen since Robbie Fowler. Right foot, left foot, header, creating space. You know, and then I remember when Southgate booted him out of the England squad, him and Foden.
That's right.
You know, I'm thinking, well, I'm not a big fan of Gareth Southgate, but at the end of the day,
You've got to have discipline.
He was right.
Yeah, he was
right. He was right, and he's turning it up in France now, and he's talking to him, obviously, maybe Barcelona, Real Madrid, but we have got to sell on clause. Listen, same as Marcus. Mason Greenwood should have been here to break Rooney's record, and it's not happened. But football's a strange game, mate, full of strange characters.
So a few more questions I want to ask. Yeah. First of all, about the young players they're rumoured to be selling because they could get money for it, and then that will generate money to buy new players. So Manu and Garnacho.
Yeah. Well, you know, when Garnacho come on the scene, obviously winning the Youth Cup here, then he gets it in the first team squad, then the goal at Everton, you know, probably I was there at Goodison that day, probably one of the greatest goals I've seen live ever. But he's not moved on, he's stayed at that level where, mind you, he played a lot of matches, you know, and he's only a young kid, but you got to look at that. Sometimes it goes stale. You just stay at that level and you don't move up to that next level.
Yeah.
So, I hope not, but you get good dolphin. Napoli is sniffing around him, so let's see what happens, you know.
But Manu, I don't want to leave. I mean,
it's a massive year next year for Kobe. Because I watched Kobe at the Euros.
When does his contract run out?
I think he's got another couple of years.
Okay.
But the thing was at the Euros, people use the word
world class,
and he was.
He was
class. And for me, he's gone backwards. And I don't mean that in a bad way, and I never slag him off, but he should be starting every game for Man United, or be there to start, or be available for every game.
Or influence the game.
And it's just not happening, but you see him come on the other night, and people are going to go on about Mount. He didn't half change the game. Now a fit and a top-class Kobe Manu is mint. We need to get that back. For me, he looks like he's a bit top-heavy, you know, and he's struggling after 50, 60 minutes in the game. You know, he's only a young kid, but next year is crucial for him because we should be building a team around Kobe Manu.
Yeah.
He's that good, and England should be building a team around him. He's that good. So we'll have to wait and see whether he gets back in the England fold. Listen, Terry, I hope we get no players picked for international duty and they have the time off at home. That's just me being
pre-season and get fit.
Get fit.
Two last questions. The owners and Ruben Amorim, because I like Amorim and they got to give him more time. And it's to follow a legend like Sir Alex. Yeah, either hasn't worked for all the other managers in the past. But I kind of like Ruben. I think
Teddy didn't want the job. The way it threw on him at the end of the season. But listen, Man United, you get after that chance. If you say no, could never come again.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's inherited a bad squad. The big thing for him is that we beat Tottenham, get some decent money, and gets his own players in there. Because he's inherited a right load of some of them there, mate. They struggle at getting the Sunday League team. They've got no heart. They don't care. All they're after is the money. But I like him. He says what he says. Listen, he doesn't hide behind. He said we're not good enough.
Yeah, he's
not hiding behind the fact that he's injured or he's suspended. He's basically said we're not good enough. And you've got to take the word. You've got to give him time. But like say with these owners now, not just United owners, they're flat. They're absolutely flat.
Panic.
If we would have got beat by Leon, which there was a chance we could have, and the results had carried on, I think he was under pressure. No, he shouldn't have been, because nowadays the owners, which are all foreign owners, not just United, everywhere, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham,
Man City.
They panic center. It's all about. It's like years ago. You had to win that Premiership. Now they're not bothered about a cup. As long as you're in that top four in that Champions League.
Yeah, exactly.
Where the money is. You know what I mean? That's what they've got to do. But the thing is as well, if we do beat Tottenham, God forbid we will do, we've got to back him. Because if we got in that Champions League like we did last time, we embarrassed ourselves. It was embarrassing. It was absolutely embarrassing.
It wasn't embarrassing.
Because for me, now, you've got no divine right to be in the Champions League, but for me, the Champions League is like Tom without Jeddah, if United aren't in it. There's nothing better there than seeing that ball waving in the Champions League on a Tuesday, Wednesday night. I'm sick of playing Sundays. You know, I don't know what it's like to play now on a Saturday at home or anywhere. We've got to get back in it, but if we win it, they've got to back him, and then it's Darwin. He's got his own people who he wants, but it's out and out. If we do win it and we get money to spend, he's got to get a decent centre forward. Now, I'm not knocking Zertzer or Hoyland. They're not good enough, mate. I've dined on Terry Sheringham, Molly Gunnar, Solskjaer, Dwight York, and Andy Cole. You know what I mean? I'm not being disrespectful. I think these two are probably as poor as Alan Brazil and Terry Gibson, and I've seen them here live. And I'm not coming at slagging. Sometimes people aren't good enough, Terry. It's just as simple as that. They're not good enough.
And Obi, maybe you said you should go on loan, maybe?
All these kids, there's no point in coming in and having... I think Obi will play today to that chance of Ireland getting injured. He's had a couple of months here and there now. You know, I thought Xerxes were coming good, but still not good enough for Manchester United. You know, maybe play him 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a season, but don't have him starting. But who's there around to buy? I look at that kid who he had at Sporting.
What about the Ipswich player? The centre forward. Again, Delat.
Is he good enough for United? Listen, he's done well in the struggling team.
Yeah, he has.
The word on the street that he's signing for Chelsea. That's the word on the street. He's signing for Chelsea.
Well, Osimhen?
Or take him.
Yeah, that's
what we need, Cheddar, is a right honourable to up front. He'll give you that elbow. Let you know you're there, like Mark Hughes used to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hughes.
Just listen, Mark Hughes is one of the nicest people off the pitch. On the pitch, an absolute lunatic. He'll let you know you're there. Alan Shearer, bang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get out of the way, stand on your toe, pull you there, let me know you're there. Do you know what, right? I went to Everton the other week and the ball was played down the line. And it was Ireland and was it Braithwaite? The kid
he
from
would
Burnley.
be good, Braithwaite.
Right. Kids just smashed Ireland off the ball and he's gone sliding. I want a free kick. No, that's what you're up against. Give him a bit back. Tarkowski it was. Just smash him off the ball, run into it. Get out of the way, it's my ball. And he's sliding out and rolling around. No, if that Osimhen come about, then you'd have to take him all day long.
Yeah.
But who else is he about? You know, we should have got Harry Kane.
Yeah.
We should have got Harry Kane. I know he wanted to come, but we didn't have the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could have given some of O'Neill's money, we might have got it over the line then. But there you go.
Webby, it's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to hopefully watch the match with you later, and I'm going to come for the 21st for the final. It's always been a pleasure. Thank you, my friends. This has been TerryTopCat for TerryTopCat Presents for clusterreview.com with Webby.
Thank you.